Your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
Hoops on the air for you this afternoon as the girls get their playoffs underway. It starts with bi-district action first this afternoon at 3:30. It'll be Friendship taking on El Paso Montwood. That'll be at 3:30, coming to us from Fort Stockton today. Also in bi-district action, Monterey and Wichita Falls will play. This is Memorial. Will play at 6 o'clock tonight at McMurray on the campus of that university, McMurray University there in Abilene. We'll have Liberty basketball on the air for you today, and that'll be on 93.1 Yes FM. The Liberty girls will take on Brock, and that'll be at 3 o'clock this afternoon. So look for that as far as high school hoops are concerned. I'm sorry, that's 7 o'clock tonight. That's a 6:30 broadcast time, and then 7 o'clock tip. Also coming to you from Abilene, but this will be at Abilene Christian University. So the high school hoops playoffs for the girls getting underway, and the boys will follow. Estacado's in action today. They take on Stephenville. That's at 7:30 at Abilene Christian. Levelland meets Brownwood today as well, among the games that are scheduled on the girls' side. So look forward to some high school hoops this afternoon. And Slayton is in action against Canadian tonight. They'll play at Canyon Randall. And Idalou meets Childress tonight as well. Okay, so that's all going on. Let's see. That is it as far as the high school hoops are concerned. All right, so 3:30 today for Friendship Girls and Montwood, and then later on tonight, the Liberty Girls taking on Brock. We'll have High School Fan Zone on the air for you tonight at 6 on 100.7 The Score. Coaches from Coronado, Estacado, Levelland, and Monterey coming to visit. All right. Let's see. As far as the Lady Raiders are concerned, they took on TCU on Saturday. Competitive in the first half. Second half.
Probably like one of your best halves of the year. I mean, you're down by just one on the road against the number 9 team in the country.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Really good second quarter where you outscored them by 5.
Mm-hmm. That's right, 17-12.
And then the wheels fell off.
Yeah, just couldn't score. I mean,
defensively, you had to feel like that was a pretty solid game against that team.
Because it was 44-33 after 3, and you didn't score in the last 3:32 of the fourth quarter, and kind of got away from you a little bit. And there in the third quarter, you had 4 turnovers in 5 minutes and 30 seconds, and had a drought of 3 minutes and 16 seconds. But you hold Sedona Prince to 9 points. You hold Madison Connor to 13. She's their 3-point extraordinaire shooter. Haley Van Lith, she fouls out of the ball game. She, the thing about Connor is she leads the country in made threes. She made 3. Van Lith is one of the top sisters in the country. I think she's like 7th in the country. She had 6 points in the ball game and fouled out. And then Prince is a 6'7" dominating center who came in averaging 20 a game, and she had 9. So, you shut down their big 3. The problem is you had another player by the name of Aaliyah Robertson, and her sister Ashley played for Texas Tech way back in the day. She had 14 points. She was perfect. 4 of 4 from the field, 2 of 2 from 3, and 4 of 4 from the free throw line. And then had 4 rebounds and drew 3 fouls. So basically the game plan was stop the big 3 and force a role player to beat you. And that's what happened.
Yeah, I guess you got to pick your poison when you're such a talented team like TCU.
And the biggest problem was you just couldn't hit layups. You were 8 of 29 on that. So that was That was too bad there. 6:36 this morning here on the Morning Drive. The Red Raiders are in action on Wednesday. They'll take on Arizona State, coming off their first loss of the season against Arizona on Saturday night. I got to admit to you, it was hard staying up. I mean, that was the old eyelids were heavy Saturday night.
I was, kind of dreading, I got 2 more hours, another hour to go. Once the game started, I was fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
You had the adrenaline going.
I was just interested.
No, I was interested.
If I'm interested in something, I won't fall asleep. If I'm not interested, I'll fall asleep.
My problem was I walked in the house at 9 o'clock, and when I got home, I ate. And that's a bad recipe for trying to stay awake. And I did my best. I did as much as I could. But I'll admit to you, I drifted in and out. 82-73 was the final on Saturday. It was a tremendous atmosphere for those guys to play in there at the McHale Center.
No question, no doubt about it. That was kind of what I was expecting to happen. And again, that's like one of those games where I feel like hopefully you can get better for playing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, they had 5 in double figures, including 2 off the bench. They, like Tech, they went 8 deep. We had a question about Federico. I mean, he did not have a very good game. He had 4 fouls, played 14 minutes, no field goals, none attempted, no rebounds, no assists, no points. It's a tough night for him.
Yeah, no question. I mean, every player has bad days, so it's not like you're giving up on the
No.
anything like that. He's been a really good player for you this season, but as I said before, I thought you got out-physicaled. I don't think when you look at Federico and you look at his game, you're like, his physicality is what makes him great.
Right, he's not Shaq.
More athleticism and effort and all those kind of things that he's just active and all that make him a good player, shot blocking ability, all of those things. But I felt like Arizona just brought the fight, and I a little bit more than we did, and it kind of felt like we were just like, I'm not really sure about this fight here in the paint, you know. Their big man, how do you say his name? Vesar? Okay, he was
Vesar, yeah.
He was terrific. He was really, really good. And we shut him down here, and so he looked like a motivated guy. Yeah,
and he was a point of emphasis.
Yeah, I mean, the atmosphere was terrific. Clearly, Arizona is a really good team. You had been playing so well, and I don't think you played terrible in this game. Again, I felt like it just knew this thing was going to get blown open, and our guys just kept battling, never let it happen.
Yeah.
And so I give them a lot of credit. I think it speaks highly of the way they continue to fight, and I don't think any less of our team for this one. I just hope it's something that kind of makes us better as we go along. Probably makes you think it's going to be hard to win this Big 12 championship thing, but you're still hanging around. You still got a shot.
This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Morning here on the Morning Drive. Time for this day in sports history. Today is February the 10th, 2025. February the 10th, 2025. Here's Jeff McGuire with this day in sports history. Sorry, I stumbled all over that.
I'm still here.
Yeah.
1925, the AL decides to alternate leagues for Game 1 of the World Series each year. Found it interesting that it was the AL that decided to do this and not both leagues, but hey.
Okay.
1956, Jim Reed scores 37 in a 101-76 victory over West Texas State, giving the eventual Border Conference champion Texas Tech their 5th straight win.
Nice.
1968, American two-time champion Peggy Fleming comfortably wins the Olympic women's figure skating gold medal at the Winter Games that year. 30 years later, she would undergo breast cancer surgery on this day.
Wow.
And in 2018, Tottenham Hotspurs edge Arsenal 1-0 at Wembley Stadium in front of an English Premier League record single-game attendance of 83,222 fans. That's a lot of people for a soccer match.
Mm-hmm.
It is National Cream Cheese Brownie Day.
Yeah.
Does not sound good to me.
I think it's a cream cheese icing
I'm out.
on the brownie is what I think it is.
Yeah.
I'm not a cream cheese guy.
I'm a fan of the brownie, so I would try one.
Yeah, you can just kind of leave the brownie alone, though.
Well, sure, but,
What?
I mean, my favorite dessert is hot fudge sundae brownie.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
So,
that's
then
a
you
pretty
get,
good one.
Then you get the hot brownie, you get the ice cream, you get the hot fudge, you get all of it together. It's awesome in a bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Emma Roberts is 34, Elizabeth Banks 51, Robert Wagner 95, Lance Bergman 49, Lenny Dykstra 62. Dirty player or just hard-nosed player?
Oh, man.
Back in those days, everybody played similar to the way that Lenny Dykstra did. I think more terrible human being.
Yes, I was going to say, yeah, right.
There was a lot there with Dykstra.
Right. I think his
off the field stuff made him dirty. Yeah.
On the field, he was considered a hustling guy, just hard-nosed, hard playing, hard charging kind of guy you wanted on your team. Everybody kind of wanted one of those, but off the field, despicable.
Yeah.
John Calipari is 66, Trayvon Johnson 30, Sterling Sharp 32, Ty Law 51, and Daryl Moose Johnson is 59.
Just 59. I think I would have pegged him just a little bit older. Just a little bit. Maybe not.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. Mm-hmm.
And on this day, 1971, 4 journalists, including photographer Larry Bowens from Life magazine, Kent Porter from the United Press International, Harry Hewitt of the Associated Press, and Kibaroshi Cimaroto of Newsweek died in South Vietnam, the Vietnamese helicopter operating in Laos. The journalists have been covering Operation Lim Sum 719 as a limited attack into Laos by South Vietnamese forces when their helicopter crashed. American journalists are some of the 42 U.S. civilians still missing in action and unaccounted for in Southeast Asia, including an NBC correspondent, Wallace Hagen, and Time photographer Sean Flynn, both of whom disappeared while covering the war in Cambodia. And that is this day in sports history.
All right, 6:49 this morning here on the Morning Drive. Thoughts, comments, Yates Flooring Center chat line. Go to WT973.com for that, or the mobile app. The Visual Edge IT hotline is open as well. We haven't gotten to softball yet, but they had a pretty good weekend, Jamie.
Yeah, pretty good start. I mean, 5-1. I think you'll definitely take that. Got a win over a ranked team, right? And you did it in walk-off fashion. So come from behind walk-off fashion. So that was fun. I'm sure that Coach Glasgow would say that there are things they want to get better at and all that good stuff, and you understand that. But man, I think he'll take 5-1 to start against some good competition.
They won yesterday 3-0 over Kennesaw State. As they get the win 3-0. Okay, so up next for them, they'll travel to Austin. They'll take on Texas, Maryland, and UMass. Okay, that's what's coming up for the softballers. I hope people didn't pull their hair out too much when they suffered a loss. It's like, oh, what are we doing here?
Yeah, I hope that's the case. Yes.
That they didn't tear their hair out.
They didn't tear their hair out.
Yeah, no.
Stuff's hard to come by for some of us. So.
It is. But I mean, just for all the lamenting, how we're going to win it all. It's just like you drop a game right away and you're like, oh my God, hopefully people aren't burning up the text line. So that's thank you to Karen who texted in to let us and me know that O'Donnell is in action tonight. Number 1 Valley High School is who they'll face in high school basketball, and this will be at I think LCC. So I'm going to guess it's Lubbock Christian.
Oh, yeah, I would guess so.
Okay, that'll be at 7 o'clock tonight as Valley and O'Donnell will play. Okay, so there you go.
I see LCC, I think Lubbock Country Club, so I bet you they're not playing out there on the fourth hole or anything.
Playing in the ballroom. It's not quite tall enough.
Yeah.
Maybe over at the tennis center.
Yeah.
They're playing over there.
Yeah.
No, probably not.
They've got nets and a court, but it's a different kind.
Right.
Different kind.
You talked about right before this day in sports history about, kind of where the men stand, with regard to the standings in the Big 12. So after the weekend, Houston and Arizona are now still tied atop the Big 12. They have a 2-game lead over Texas Tech. So they're 11-1, and the Red Raiders are 9-3. And then after that, Iowa State, they were a winner over TCU this past weekend. They're 8-4. And then Baylor and Kansas are both 7-5, with Kansas State, BYU, and West Virginia kind of moving up. They're all tied for 5th right now, those 3 teams with a 6-6 record, and K-State with a win over Kansas at home on Saturday. It sure seems like Baylor and Kansas have not lived up to expectations by any stretch of the imagination.
Yes, it does definitely appear that way.
And Colorado gave Houston a scare for a while. I mean, they didn't win, but they gave them a scare.
Right.
So the Buffs are 0-12. Could be worse, I guess. I mean, not for us, but I mean for other schools. If you're comparing yourself,
could be a lot worse than us.
Yeah, right. But I mean, Houston won in Boulder 69-59. So it was a tight game. The game before Texas Tech, today's Calipari's birthday, it looked like Arkansas was going to come back.
Man, that was crazy.
It was crazy.
That was.
I mean, people had left, and there weren't anybody there to call the Hogs home, and they made it a game.
I still think there were plenty of them there. You're right. The atmosphere got pretty legit there at the end.
It did, yeah. It did. I'd flipped over to our game because it was like, okay, well, I want to see the start of the Texas Tech game. And even though this game got interesting, I mean, they were down 17 points, Arkansas was, with 9 minutes to go. And it got down to, 81-78 with a minute to go.
I think they got it to 3.
Got it to 3. Got it to 83-81 with 4 seconds to go after Arkansas made a free throw. After they got fouled. They missed one and made one. At any rate, they lost the ball game to Alabama, and Alabama's probably going to be the number 1 team in the country.
Yeah, because 1 and 2 lost.
Yeah, so they're probably going to be the number 1 team in the country. So they gave it a big fight.
The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Good morning with Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire. I'm Chuck Heinz. We'll have Friendship Girls basketball on the air for you today. So if you don't have the ability to drive or maybe desire to Fort Stockton, we'll do it for you. They take on El Paso Montwood. It'll be at 3:30 this afternoon. And then we'll have Liberty Girls basketball on the air for you as well, as at 6:30 they take on Brock, okay? And that'll be in Abilene. So if you don't have the desire to go to Abilene today, or if you have the desire and you just don't have the ability, we'll have that time, all those kinds of things. We'll have it for you tonight at 6:30 on 93.1 Yes FM. I thought this was really bizarre before we go back to the hoops. I don't know if you saw it or read about it, but they did this AI tribute to Jimmy Johnson on the NFL on Fox pregame show. And it went back to when he was a player at Arkansas, and outlined his time there as a player and meeting Jerry Jones and then the Cowboys, and this is after his time at the Oklahoma State Cowboys and the Miami Hurricanes, and then a little bit on Fox, and then a little bit with the Dolphins, and then back to Fox. And it looked like a retirement speech is what it looked like. And it was just the most bizarre thing in the middle of the Super Bowl pregame show, and he didn't say, "Yep, this is it for me. I've enjoyed it 31 years." He said he was asked by Kurt Menefree, the host, if this was goodbye, and he said, one day at a time, Kurt. And that was it. And they go to commercial. It was just the weirdest thing.
Okay.
And then and this will come as no shock to you, and I don't know if you were gone by this point in time, but they botched the presentation of the trophy to the Philadelphia Eagles owner, Jeffrey Lurie. The commissioner did it. They didn't have the awkward thing where they, take it through the crowd, of players and parade it with, kind of like what they were trying to kind of rip off the Stanley Cup, trophy presentation. Instead, the trophy was already on this big, massive stage, and Roger Goodell's the one that presented it, and then Terry Bradshaw comes up there and says, on behalf of Fox and this Caesar's Dome and blah, 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 I'd like to present you with the trophy. Well, he already had the trophy. He already had it. It was just...
Why is Terry Bradshaw involved?
I don't know. It's time for them to do it with somebody else.
He's senile.
Yeah.
Okay? He's past his prime. Okay? He's
76.
He's a joke show.
Yeah, it's just time. I mean, and he was asked after if he was, apparently he's got 2 more years left on his contract, and then the next time that Fox would host it, he'd be like 81. He'd be like, I know it's a young man's game. Yeah, it's a young man's game, Terry.
He was a great quarterback back in the day, and I'm sure he had a great football mind at one point, but he's just not good.
Yeah.
I mean, at some point you have to figure out everybody's laughing at you, not with you.
Yeah, and when they were doing the pregame show down on Bourbon Street, man, he was he was sweating through his shirt. I mean, it was bad.
That was another thing about the halftime act. I mean, he was sweating. I mean, just softballs out there, and I just thought to myself, man, I don't know. Take the gloves off, maybe. Maybe the jacket, too. I mean, you're really sweating. I'm worried about you.
Keel over there.
Take the gloves off. What are we doing with those?
I don't.
Felt like it couldn't have been that cold in there, right?
No. No. And I get it and I understand it, but the most uncomfortable commercial was I'm not sure if they were selling push-up bras or if they were promoting, people getting checked out for breast cancer, but man, it was
clearly the breast cancer.
Yeah, but it was uncomfortable.
It took a while.
It took a while to get to it, right?
Yeah, you were probably sitting there with your grandkids, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. It took a while. It sure did.
It's like what
they really drove home their point.
Yeah, right. I was trying to figure it out. We're just like, what are we selling here?
Yeah. Chuck was worried he'd hit the wrong button and was on the wrong channel.
Oh man, during halftime, this was our halftime activity. The youngest one, we bought these magnetic tile things that the boys can build stuff with. I mean, it's not Legos. They're a little bit thicker tiles, and they got plenty of Lego at our house to build with, and they did some of that. But the youngest one, the little phenom, decided he wanted to build a tower. So we built this tower. And then he didn't want any help. But then he reached a point in time where the tower was taller than him. And so then he needed help. Okay?
Or a stool.
And we had a stool. We already had a stool.
Or a ladder.
He wanted a ladder, but that we drew the line at the ladder. So I helped him build this tower that went above my head as well. So that's what we did during halftime while Kendrick Lamar was on doing his thing,
He was entertaining the masses.
He was entertaining the masses, and we were building a tower in our den. Mm-hmm. So that worked out. It worked out pretty well for everybody because it became pretty entertaining. Just him telling me, "No, I've got this." I'm like, "No, you need my help." 7:22 this morning here on the morning drive. Maybe you don't. I was going to ask you, do you have a level of concern about the Red Raider men's basketball team?
Because they lost 1 out of 8 games?
No,
No.
Okay. No. Okay. Well, figured that. What would be your concern coming out of that game? How about that?
Oh, okay. Do I have a level of concern that they're going to win the Big 12 championship? Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think they are. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
I still think I have a shot, but I don't think they are.
Mm-hmm.
But my level of, you went on the road against a really good team, and you were in it for most of it.
Right.
And you got out toughed a little bit. You didn't play your best game. But, you're still a really good team.
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. I just was
There's
curious.
not a lot of basketball teams that go through a season undefeated.
No, there's not.
Not a lot.
There's not.
There's a whole bunch of them that have won national championships after losing games during the regular season.
Sure.
A whole bunch of them.
I just wondered what maybe I should have said, what, if anything, concerns you coming out of that game?
Well, I guess I guess we could say that if you face a physical team like that in the postseason, that you wouldn't match the physicality.
Or maybe here's an opportunity for you to get better on that.
It is an opportunity. There's no question.
Can you can you get better on that? Because I think you can.
I'd like to think so.
Okay, so you just finished up a stretch where you've played Houston, Baylor, and at Arizona. I think we all would have taken 2 out of 3 going into that.
No question.
And now you face, coming up, your next 3 are Arizona, at Oklahoma State, and at TCU before you face West Virginia at home and then Houston at home to close out the season. So now you're kind of at a situation where, can you win 2, 4? Of those 5, would you take 4 right now?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
I don't think I would.
Okay.
I think this is a really good basketball team.
Okay.
I think they're capable of more.
Of winning all 5.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3. Presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Jamie's question of the day on Double T 97.3 is brought to you by Connecticut of West Texas.
Okay, guys, I got a 2-parter for you involving Red Raider basketball in the Big 12 Conference. I want you to tell me, I don't need the record, I just need you to tell me where you think Tech is going to finish in the standings and what seed you think they are going to end up being in the NCAA tournament.
Oh, okay. Seems pretty simple, actually.
Hope so.
Okay, so right now they're 3rd because the 2 teams ahead of them are tied for 1st at 11-1. You're 9-3. I'm going to say you're going to stay where you are. You're going to be 3rd. Okay, you're going to be 3rd in the Big 12, and I think you're going to be a 4 seed in the tournament.
Okay.
I like Chuck. Think that you're going to remain in 3rd.
I like Chuck, too.
I don't know if you're going to be a 4 seed or a 5 seed. I think you're going to be between that line. So think like if the top 25 rankings, you're somewhere between 15 and 19 is where I think this team's going to finish. So you're kind of hovering that little bubble there is where I think you're going to be.
Okay, I'm with you guys. I think you're gonna finish behind Houston and Arizona. Obviously you have one more game left with Arizona. You're 2 games behind them. 1 game left with Houston, but you're 2 games behind Houston and Arizona. It's just going to be hard to overtake them unless they stumble a little bit. If you had another shot at Arizona, I know you've already played twice, then maybe you have a better chance, but you control your own destiny a little bit more. Mm-hmm. But you just have the 1 game. So I think you're going to end up finishing behind those 2. And the question is, do you hold off Iowa State? And I think you do. I do. I think you ain't going to end up by yourself in third place in the Big 12 Conference. And if you had asked me if I would take that before the beginning of the year,
Absolutely.
man, I would have 100% taken that. I think the Red Raiders are closer to a 3 than a 5. Jeff was thinking...
See, I agree with you.
Yeah, and so I'm going to agree with Chuck and say 4, but I think you're closer to a 3 than a 5. I still hold out hope. If you get one of these 2 games... that'll give you another quadrant win with either on the road at Kansas or home against Houston. If you can get another one of those quadrant 1 wins, I think you've got a chance to be a 3, and you take care of business in the rest of them. So if you were able to split those 2 and then take care of business in the rest of them, I think you could get to a 3.
Yeah, I agree with you. Prior to the Arizona game, Joe Lunardi had Tech as a 3 seed.
Yeah.
So, that, and just because you lose, and Jerry Palm prior to the Arizona game had Tech as a 4 seed. But I think with what you have coming up, you have a chance to get yourself, like Jamie said, closer to a 3. And it certainly is fun. There's no doubt about it. And there's great games left at the arena, including Wednesday night with Arizona State. And I'm hopeful that the loss on Saturday doesn't diminish your crowd.
Man,
I don't think it'll diminish the student crowd. I'm just talking about the townie crowd.
I feel like you've just offended our fan base.
Oh, I'm not trying to.
I mean, if the fans are like, I'm not in because we've only won 7 of our last 8, and the one that we lost was on the road to a top 20 team. I mean, that's just.
I said I hope it doesn't. So you think just by even bringing it up, offends them?
I think they should be offended.
Okay, well, I'm not trying to. It's an 8:00 game. Okay, it's an 8:00 tip. It's it's a Wednesday night. So I mean that's a bit of a challenge.
Those things factor in. Mm-hmm. Okay,
that's what I'm
Wednesday
talking
night at 8:00.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Well, you made it sound like when you said, "Well, after Saturday's game, that it diminishes the crowd."
Well,
you're making it sound when you say it that way, you're saying the crowd's not going to show up because you lost Saturday night at Arizona. Mm-hmm. Now, Wednesday night, middle of the week, 8:00, all those things, yes, those are legitimate reasons that some people probably say. I'm not going to go.
I got to go to work
Wednesday.
the next morning.
I'm not going to go on Wednesday night, but it's not because we lost on Saturday at Arizona. Okay. As you suggested.
Okay. Well, I should have tied everything in together. A loss Wednesday night, unfamiliar opponent.
I don't
8:00 tip.
I don't think the loss factors in.
Okay. I probably won't go because Chuck said I shouldn't. Okay. Wow. Chuck is spot on. Season ticket holders have not shown up this season. It's a little chippy. Jamie, have you had they're laughing at you, not with you talk with Chuck? No, he hasn't. He hasn't had that with me yet.
Chuck's his own man.
Yeah. I'll know when it's time. And just, if you would contribute more to my 401k and no, not you,
okay.
The fine listening audience. I mean, then that would probably push me out the door faster. Okay, but I keep moving the goalposts back because we keep wanting to do more things. So it just requires more money at the end of the day. So, I mean, but if you want somebody write me a big enough check, then yeah, probably I would go away. But I don't know if I would want to do that. Then I'd be bored, Jamie. I'd be knocking at your door going, hey, can I fill in?
Oh, Laura.
And then she would have to deal with me.
Ooh, we don't want that for Laura.
No, we don't.
Yeah. So the door's always open for you, Laura, or for you, Chuck, because we care about Laura. Yeah. We don't want her having to deal with that all day long.
No. Somebody says this. Unfortunately, a lot of people do think that way. Boy, that could be directed at me, could be directed at the basketball team, could be directed at the season ticket holders. I think it's more directed at me.
That we're not going to go because they lost Saturday night?
I think it's more directed at me.
Oh.
This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
The high school fan zone on the air for you tonight at 6. Lots going on with the ending of the regular year for basketball and the start of playoffs for the girls today and the boys to follow. And, you've got baseball getting ready to get underway, and they're practicing and playing and all that kind of stuff, and softball too, and track as well. So a lot of convergence there, high school sports, winter and spring. We also had that going on in the Big 12 as well, with the start of Texas Tech baseball later on this week. I was listening to a little bit of Thetford and Ashby on Saturday, and Mike Gustafson was on. You'll be spending quite a bit of time with him later on this week, and he was talking about the dinner Friday night that Texas Tech baseball had. Mm-hmm. And he was talking about how long Coach Tadlock spoke about the pitchers, and I think he was intrigued by that, and I just wanted to get your thoughts on that with regard to the depth and how detailed it was, because it sounds like Coach Tadlock is excited about his pitching staff, and you've talked quite a bit about the rotation and the relievers and all the weapons they have, but I mean, maybe for him to speak that public about it was something he doesn't always do.
I would tell you, I mean, if you're, you don't have, a Brandon Birdsell or a guy, other guys kind of slip my mind right now, that guy, or a Stephen Gingery or Davis Martin, that you're coming into the season and going, that probably top 2 or 3 round draft pick. Okay? Mm-hmm. I don't know that you have that guy. I'm not saying that you don't. I'm just saying right now I don't know who that guy is. Okay? I don't know that you have that just pure ace that every time we go out, the Red Raiders play on a Friday or a Saturday, you score 3 and you feel like you got this. Mm-hmm. Okay? But I think what you have is, I think you have so many more quality arms than you've had in the past, where Friday through Sunday doesn't feel that much different to me. As a matter of fact, I mean, the comments from Coach Tadlock over the last couple of weeks, he's basically insinuated that Mac Hewer is the Friday guy, okay, that Jack Siebert likely will be the Saturday guy. He's the transfer from USF. And he hasn't said who will be the Sunday guy, okay? I believe the guy who's throwing the best right now is Zane Petty. I think he looks the best. So if he's the Sunday guy, I think he's been a little bit better than Mac Hewer right now.
Okay.
So that makes me feel like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you've got as good a chance as any to win any of those games, right? So it's not as if, you got an ERA of 3 pitching on Friday, of 5 pitching on Saturday, and then we'll see who we throw on Sunday.
Johnny Allstuff.
Yeah, no, this feels like, and those aren't the only 3 guys that I think are quality and capable of being starters. You're going to have, and again, remember, you don't have midweeks the first 2 weeks of the season. It's not to the 3rd week of the season. So some of these starters, and it's not that you have a ton of, even then, you have a Tuesday or a Wednesday game, you only need 4, maybe 5 in a week. So you're going to have a bunch of these guys that are good enough to be starters that you're going to see in relief. And I think there's a lot more. I mean, and there's guys coming back that I feel like have taken big step forward. Trendon Parrish looks better than he ever has in shape and strength-wise and all that. And then on the mound, he looks terrific. There's so many of the junior college arms that have been brought in. And if you go back to the 20 teens and when they were really rolling, they had a lot of really good JUCO arms that came and pitched for the Red Raiders, and I think you're seeing a lot of that now. There's a bunch of them that could be starters, but I think they're going to end up being really good relievers. There's 2 freshmen that I think are terrific, that are good enough to be starters, and maybe use them in midweek starting spots as the season goes along. But I think ultimately a year from now or whatever, they're going to be in those roles, but they're going to be big out of your bullpen. I just feel like there are so many more guys right now than you can count on than you had last year. And that makes a huge difference. I mean, again, you just got to stay healthy because you haven't been able to do that on the mound the last few years. But I feel like this pitching staff is the best one that you've had since 2020.
No, and that was a really good year, and it was potentially had the potential to be a really good year.
And so you may not have a top 4 or 5 round guy in your pitching staff, okay? But I think 1 through 12, 13, 14, you feel really good about them.
And I think that's the communication that the audience got as well, right, on Friday night.
Yeah.
Were you kind of was he a little more candid maybe than he's been?
I just think Coach Tadlock sounds very confident in his team right now. I think, you heard the comments previously about why they've set the schedule up the way they have. Mm-hmm. I mean, his comment that, hey, we put this schedule together because we think we're going to play 5 or 6 games at home here at the end of the season, meaning in the postseason. I mean, he thinks his team's good enough to be, one of those teams. He knows that there's a lot of offense. I mean, they really did a good job. They didn't use the portal like all of a sudden we're going to completely change our team. They brought back a bunch of good guys, but they brought in quality guys, need guys to fill positions both on the mound and in the field. That the offense is, to me, it looks more versatile than it's been in the past. I wrote an article over the weekend, and I thought it typified kind of what this team can be. The first inning on Saturday, you had leadoff single, hard hit ball back through the middle, Savateri, new guy. Bunt single, Kyler Thompson, first and second, nobody out. With third batter at the plate, Logan Hughes. Savateri steals third. Next pitch, Thompson steals second. Hughes is down in an 0-2 hole. He's battling. He fouls off a couple of pitches, hits a high chopper over the mound. Okay, scores a run, advances the runner to third, and he beats it out over at first. Okay, next hitter, Villanueva, 4th straight newcomer, cranks one 430 over the right field wall the opposite way. 4 batters in, 4 newcomers, 4-0. Speed, power, battling with 2 strikes, putting the ball in play, playing a little small ball. All of it. It was on display there. This is what this offense is capable of doing. And so it's just a different feel than in years past where, even go back to last year. If you weren't hitting homers, you weren't winning. And this team, I think, can win different ways.
See, and I'm going to pay you and Coach Tadlock a similar compliment because, like, when you guys get excited and talk, long about things, unlike other coaches or people like me, we get excited over, bubble gum, and it makes me feel like it makes me feel like, man, there's a hell of a lot there.
You know what, Chuck? I think it's the best team you've had since 2020 when, COVID killed that season. I think it's the best roster you've had. I think it's the most complete. You got to stay healthy. You got to be better in clutch situations, because you haven't been great in those areas. You got to play defense better than you played last season. So you got to perform, right, when the lights turn on. But right now, this looks like a team that can be pretty good. Now, is that a national seed? I don't know. But is that a team that's in the top 25 and a lot better than they were last year? 100%.
8:25 this morning here on the Morning Drive. We will review upon further review. Next, somebody says this jail getting me fired up. Yeah, you're getting me fired up.
I'm fired up.
That's awesome. That is awesome to hear.
This has been the Morning Drive Podcast, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Check out our library of Double T 97.3 podcasts at doublet97.3.com.